हाय अरे भाई हाँ अच्छा, हाँ है डेढ़ दो घंटा लाइव लिख रहा है अभी तो लिख रहा है लाइव। अरे भाई वहाँ जो मॉनिटर पे आदमी था हम नहीं ना थे। दिक्कत तो ये है ना हम क्या हम हाँ लाइव लाइव। चलिए धन्यवाद धन्यवाद।
Good evening to one and all present here. Good evening to one and all present here. Honorable Chief Guest of the evening, Colonel S. Mohan Rao, Principal and School Vidya, respected Vice Principal Sir, Administrative Officer Sir, members of the jury, direct teachers, and the overwhelming audience. With the permission of the Chief Guest, I, Cadet Varun,
I, Cadet Sunny,
and I, Cadet Mr.
will begin this evening's show of the Inter-House English Declamation Competition for the session 2025-26. So now I hand over the mic to Cadet Sunny to initiate the event.
Thank you, Varun. Declamation is not just a common form of speech. It's a way to express our passion, our flair, and the winner is not necessarily the one who puts forth the maximum number of points, but the one whose content and logic have the greatest impact on the audience. The beauty of declamation is that it gives the opportunities to the reticent or the generally reserved kind of cadets to flaunt their skills in oratory. Today, we have one such opportunity to see the spirit of a controlled yet passionate verbal war of words on selected elements. Now, Cadet Rizal will introduce you to the first speaker of the evening.
The first speaker of the evening will be Cadet Varun. The topic, role of technology in easing or worsening independence.
He will be followed by Cadet Meena. She will depict her ideas of how social media shapes our perception of reality.
Next in the row is Cadet San, who will present his views on the dark side of data collection.
He will be followed by Cadet Mansu, who will present his thought topic, do tech giants have too much power over information.
Cadet Shantanu will be following him, speaking on the topic, should government regulate social media algorithms?
He will be followed by Cadet Subham. He will express his thoughts on the topic, are smart devices really paralyzing our ability to think independently?
Then we have Cadet Abbas. He will raise his views on one question, can virtual reality replace real world experience?
He will be followed by Cadet Rudra, who will illustrate his perception of the topic, is human labor at risk in the age of automation?
The chain will be continued by Cadet Mosley, and he will be speaking on fake news, a new sensation.
The second speaker of the evening will be Cadet Rao, offering his viewpoint on cybersecurity, growing concern on modern times.
Next in chain is Cadet Ramaya, who will express his views on the topic, are smartphones responsible for the decline in reading habits among the youth?
Cadet Aditya will be the last speaker of the evening, circulating his viewpoints on the topic of the importance of mental health and well-being.
Now, Cadet Varun will briefly lay out the summary of the rules.
As many of you are already familiar with the rules of this prestigious declamation competition, it is still my duty to briefly remind you of the rules. Each participant will have a total of 4 minutes to present their views. A warning bell will ring at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, followed by a final bell at the 4-minute mark to signal the end of speech time. Please note that participants are not permitted to carry written scripts while delivering their speech. Also, please note that this year all the speakers are freshers. They haven't taken part in any of the events, be it debate or declamation.
Now, without any further delay, let's begin this illustrious event.
Remember what the missile man of our country, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, dreamt of when he said, "You cannot change your future, but you can change your habits. And surely your habits will change your future. Technology changes habits, and therefore changes future." With these burning opinions, here comes Kiran Abhimanyu.
A, a signal flash, shore to shore, unlocking dreams not touched before. There once stood gates that block the way, take clear the path for all today. Remember what the missile of our country, Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, dreamt of? He said, "You cannot change your future, but can change your habits, and surely your habits will change your future." Technology today changes habits and therefore the future. Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and all of gathering in this captivating auditorium. As we all know, education is the most powerful weapon which one can use to change the world. And technology is putting that weapon into hands of millions who never had it before. In this era of technological advancements, we can find our students from remote areas excel or even come up with flying colors. Why? Just because today a student from a remote village can learn some same lessons as someone in a big city. Thanks to great technology and platforms like YouTube, Khan Academy, Physics Wala, and many more, the learning is no longer locked in classroom. Likewise, there is improved healthcare system, especially in far places with telemedicine apps like eSanjeevani, people can now connect to doctors through video calls. In short, it is not necessarily in hospitals anymore. The smartphone can connect you to life saving. In this era, you don't need to do 9 to 5 job if you know the use of technology in a better way. A smartphone can help a teenager in a small town become a YouTuber, a graphic designer, or even a successful app developer. Technology opens a door that didn't even exist before. As you can see, we live in a world defined by technology. From smartphone in our pockets to satellite rolling far above, technology saves every aspect of our life. Today, a small farmer can get the information of rain through the book, even get fair prices for the crops. Artisans selling their products on Etsy and Amazon are no longer part of their customers worldwide. And has just been made possible through technology which has been unimaginable before. And if I'm not wrong, the conduct of this event, the preparation of the scripts of the topic, and how can we forget the smart TVs installed in each and every classroom of this device would not be possible without the aid of technology. And I think nobody sitting here would be aware of the power of social media, which has given everyone, including marginalized communities, a platform to raise their voice. Like movements of justice for gender equality, environmental justice, and human rights upon this trend just because today people can organize online and share their stories to the world. When we think about inequality, what we often picture is rare. But inequality is also an opportunity, dignity, and voice. And technology has that very potential to democratize this opportunity. Clearly, we live in an extraordinary time where technology has transformed the way we learn, work, communicate, and even think. At last, I'm time bound. And before leaving this podium, I would just like to say that just like everything, technology too has two faces. It's like a knife which can prevent a meal or cause harm. This means technology in itself is neither a hero nor a villain. It's simply a tool. Whether it eases or worsens inequality depends on how we as a society choose to use it. So let's work together to ensure that technology becomes a bridge, not a barrier, a lamp that lights up lives with me, not just a glittering toy for you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That was an overwhelming talk you presented before us.
We live in a time where filters mark imperfections. Algorithms feel as what we want to see and opinions are safe, not by fact, but by trends. Let us pause for a moment and ask ourselves, are we truly living up on reality or just the one carefully crafted of our screen? With this and this of views, everyone is carried me now.
In this digital age, where we swipe, like, and share connect us to a world beyond our own, social media has become more than just a tool. It is a lens through which we see the reality itself. Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, my fellow competitors, and the august guests. According to the reporters, January 35 report, there are more than 5 billion active social media users worldwide spending an average of 2 hours and 27 minutes daily on race platform. We live in a time with filtered market of reflection, algorithm feed us what we want to see, and the algorithm feed us what we want to speak, and the opinion are shaped not by facts but by trends. So let us pause for a moment and ask ourselves: are we truly living in a whole reality, or is just as crafted carefully for us by our screens? Ladies and gentlemen, the power lies in our hands to choose what we consume, what we believe, and how much we let it influence. Reality is not a feed we scroll through; it is a life beyond the screens. Social media has become a total window to the world. But how real is this window? Our feeds are flooded with luminous lives, perfect bodies, luxurious vacations, and trending movements. A study by Royal Study for Public Health Fund has found that Instagram and Snapchat are one of the most damaging platforms for young people's mental health and increasing a feeling of anxiety and depression. We compare our every struggle to highlight this. Forgetting that behind every flawless picture lies a careful editing and curation. In fact, research shows that around 71% of people edit their selfies before posting them online. Moreover, the echo chambers created by algorithm limits our respect. Studies by Pew Research Center reveal that 60% of adults get their news from social media. Yet, this platform opens doors only what we agree with. It traps us in power of half-truth and misinformation, making us believe that our version of reality is dominating. Ladies and gentlemen, even our self-worth is affected. According to a survey by Common Sense Media, 35% of teenagers said that they feel pressure to post content that will get 9 likes or comments. The number of likes and followers becomes a measure of our value, and we start questioning our identity based on the validation of people we may never even meet. Yes, I meant to say you that they too. Social media can also be used for powerful tool for awareness, education, and global movement. For example, in 2020, platform has mobilized millions worldwide for climate action, equality, and justice. But, this power comes with responsibility, and it starts with us. At last, I am bound to the chain of time. Ladies and gentlemen, the power lies in our hands to choose what we consume, what we believe, and how much we let it exist. Let us remember, reality is not a feat we scroll through, it is a life beyond the screen. So, let's be conscious consumer, check the facts, look beyond filter, and open our mind to diversity point. Now, it's time to reclaim our perception of reality. To live authentically, think freely, and connect genuinely. Because the true version of ourselves can never be captured in a single post. That's all. Thank you. Forward ever.
Thank you, Minal. Your words were really very energetic.
The dark side of data collection is not science fiction. It's today's reality. It's a silent war on our privacy, our autonomy, and our safety. With these views, here comes the third speaker of the evening, Get It Done.
The master of progress that you take and the click you make and the word you say. It's recorded, stored and sold without a consent. Welcome to the reality of unchecked data collection. Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and young staff. Today, I stand for you to expose a truth that is often hidden behind sleek apps, user-friendly interfaces, and so-called personalized experiences. The truth is simple. Data collection is the systematic process of gathering, measuring, and analyzing information from various sources to answer questions, make decisions, or train artificial intelligence. Data collection is often criticized for privacy risks, but it also drives progress, efficiency, and innovation. 91% of consumers prefer personalized shopping experiences. Human democracy. Decoded DNA using massive data collection. Now it personalized medicines. There are many more examples. But now, let me take you to the dark side of data collection. They said data is the but what it did say is that by God, data do nothing. And when it does, the damage is irreversible. Imagine a stranger following you everywhere, recording your conversation, noting your purchase, and even tracking your heartbeat. It sounds like a disturbing nightmare, right? This is exactly what happens when app demands access to our camera, microphones, and contacts. Nothing more like this. You all know this thing? Yet, we plan to hand over our personal data in exchange for free apps, free searches, and free entertainment. But what is the real cost? Every like, every search, every location check-in is harvested, packaged, and sold for highest rate. Companies emerge pushing by profiling our behavior, manipulating our desire, and turning our lives into a commodity. We are no longer users, we are products. This is the illusion of resources. Data is power, and in the wrong hands, it becomes a weapon. Facebook damaged analytical standards to how personal data goes to elections. Algorithms feed us extremist content, deepen societal divides, and trap us in an echo chamber. They don't just predict our choices, they shape them. This is the nature of manipulation. The dark side of data collection is not a science fiction, it's today's reality. It's a silent war on our privacy, our autonomy, and our safety. Yes, data can be useful, but without strong limits and full transparency, it becomes a tool of control. So today, I urge you to look beyond the convenience, look at the cost. Because when data becomes power, those without it becomes powerless. Data is like fire. It can cook your food or burn your houses down. The difference is lies in how we will do it. Ladies and gentlemen, the age of blind trust is over. The data challenge will not stop unless we force it. Will we remain silent, letting our digital footprints be exploited, or will we arise, reclaim our privacy, and fight for a future where technology serves humanity? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, son. Your words were really awesome and commendable.
A world where kids learn to scroll even before they learn to write, where Google is the default response to any question, where social media is trusted more than the television news itself. With these comments, here comes Kiran with Manchu.
My dear listeners, pictures a world where your thoughts are no longer yours. Where every headline you read, every video you watch, and every belief you hold has been carefully engineered. Not by the government, not by a dictator, but by the lines of a code. A silent machine working 24 by 7, not to tell you the truth, but to track you, predict you, manipulate you. Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, my fellow participants, and the august gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a digital age, an era where kids learn to scroll even before they learn to write. Where Google it is the default response to any question, where social media is trusted more than the television news itself. But ask yourself, who controls what you see online? Who shapes the stories that trend in the posts and go viral and the videos that autoplay? The answer is simple and chicken. Tech giants. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2025, there are more than 4.95 billion people using the internet, which is more than half of the planet. My dear friends, let me tell you, more than 90% of the world's data has been created in the last 2 years alone. So, where does it go? Who stores it and who decides what you see? Don't worry, I take the privilege to benefit of oblivious minds. Google holds 92% of global search traffic. WhatsApp has over 500 million users, more than any other country in the world. Isn't this happening? YouTube, again, by Google, is the most used app after WhatsApp. Meanwhile, Facebook and Instagram dominate social conversations and spread fake information and deepfakes and leaks and bombs. Amazon and Flipkart compete to dominate e-commerce and influence consumer behavior. And sometimes even forces you to buy the things that you don't even want. But, my dear friends, this is not just about big numbers, it's about big consequences. In 2019, misinformation spread by WhatsApp triggered bombs in distant parts of India. In 2021, during the farmers' protest, which I hope you all are aware of, Facebook and Twitter became battlegrounds of conflicting narratives, questioning opinion of people like fallacy. But my dear friends, let me be honest with you. If I start counting every such incident, the clock will stop before the listener. Because when the algorithm decides what you see, they also decide what you don't. They amplify anger and silence nuance, and somewhere along the way it will disappear. Every time we click accept or keys, every time we scroll just one more time, we are not just giving up time, we are giving up autonomy. Our attention has become a product and we are the currency. We are trading our privacy with convenience, our thoughts for trends, and our freedom for data. We are handing over control not just of our devices but of our minds. So I ask you, do tech just have too much power over information? Yes, unquestionably. But ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just me speaking about what they are doing. It's a reminder of what we must do. We must question what we see, we must diversify our sources, we must demand transparency, and we must never trade convenience for control ever again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not done yet, but I am bound by the limitations of time. So before leaving this magnificent podium, I would like to recite these lines from my side. They may control the code, the clicks and the speed, but they can't control the mind that speed. So question, reflect, be bold, be wise, because change begins when the people rise. Change begins when the people rise. That's all. Thank you.
Really, Sudhanshu, your ideas are thought-provoking.
The internet was meant to connect us, not to divide, radicalize, and divide us. Without regulations, these algorithms will continue to trade our safety and our privacy. With this perspective, let's not to the pitfalls in our use. Control too little and chaos will rise. But too much control blinds open eyes. What tames the storm can choke the flame, distracting the soul in freedom flame. If you would have Googled for something dangerous or illegal, like how to make a bomb, then the answer you would have got is, this content may violate our usage policy. But why did you get such an answer? Why did you get what you actually wanted? It's because both the platform and the government know that it's too risky to leave that to an algorithm. So they step in and block it. But my dear audience, now I ask you, shouldn't the same logic apply with the same algorithm? Spread fake news or harmful trends to millions of people every day. Mr. President, esteemed judges, ladies, gentlemen, and the August gathering. Let's begin by starting two different scenarios to clear our doubts. It was the year 2017 when the world witnessed one of the darkest moments in the recent history in Myanmar, where persecution and mass killing of the Rohingya Muslim minority took place. Over 7 million people were forced to flee, and thousands were killed in the process. But what made this genocide even more disturbing was the role of social media, particularly Facebook, by spreading hate speeches against them. In this case, government's failure to regulate harmful online content allowed social media to turn into a weapon of hate and violence. Whereas in the countries like North Korea and China, we can see that the governments are heavily regulating and controlling their social media platform through strict censorship laws. Block content that opposes the government, and this promotes dissent, resulting in the suppression of free speech and human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have seen the consequences of both regulation and over-regulation by the government over social media, a question arises: what social media algorithms actually are? They are like invisible puppet masters, pulling strings based on our behavior, content popularity, and the platform goals. They work like dark magic by tracking, predicting, and manipulating our thoughts. So, my dear friends, should we let these private social media companies decide what billions of people see with no transparency, no oversight, and no accountability? Of course not. The government must step in to safeguard truth, unity, and nation security, the same way they regulate traffic laws and food safety. But hold on, what about our freedom? Some critics may argue that regulation is censorship, like in China, a threat to the freedom of expression. But can you answer me? Is it freedom when an algorithm decides what we should see? Or is this freedom when lies are promoted and truth is hidden? No. The internet was meant to connect us, not to divide, radicalize, or exploit us. Without regulation, these algorithms will continue to trade our safety and privacy. In some countries, like our very own India, the government restricted these tech companies from providing illegal and harmful content in order to check nation security, misinformation, and manipulation of mind. But government regulation does not mean control over social media. Rather, it means transparency, asking platforms to reveal how their algorithms work and setting rules and protocols for them, so that the content can be fair, factual, and safe. In the end, it's not about control or chaos alone. It's about the harmony between the two. Let's choose balance, for that is where true sense lies. To prevent tragedies like the Myanmar genocide, the government must step in with clear regulation, but not absolute control like China. Time may silence me now, but let my words go beyond this moment. Now is the time when the government must act, not to control, but to protect. Otherwise, the next victim of this unregulated algorithm can be our family or this very next generation. Again, I say, it's about time we remove this digital dictatorship of the Silicon Valley and adopted a delicate, regulating approach of the government on it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Your delivery was so engaging that we are lost track of time. Think about smart devices. The very tools created to empower our minds are now rewiring them to grow weaker. This marks the arrival of our next speaker, Garrett Suma.
We used to talk, now barely speak. Our minds grow numb, our thoughts grow weak. Reality flows beyond us being, yet believing what was seen, yet believing what was seen. Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and your host, Jackie. Today I stand before you to voice a concern hidden beneath our screen. Let me begin this with a question. When was the last time you used your brain before you think of it? My dear friends, I'm quite sure that the moment everyone is sitting around the stage to see their declamation topics, most of them turn to ChatGPT or some AI tools, even before giving a single thought of their phone. And honestly, we can't even blame them because we are living in a world where our first instinct is not to think, it is to search. We have normalized relying on AI so much that we have stopped using our brains. And that, my dear friends, brings us right back to the question, are smart devices that are not thinking everything? Before we answer that question, let's take a moment to understand just how deeply smart devices are woven into our daily life. They are because from the moment we open our eyes to the moment we close them. They help us make notes in class, scan documents, save photos, and even take how many steps we have walked. But convenience and consequence often come hand in hand. While we think we are using smart devices, the truth is that they are actually starting to use us. They decide what we see, what we watch, what we buy, and even how we feel. Algorithms predict our choices before we have made them, and endless scrolling trains our mind to expect stimulation every few seconds, which affects our attention span. According to a study conducted by the University of California recently, the average human attention span has dropped to just 8 seconds, which is shorter than that of a goldfish. And what is called surrounding decline? Smart devices. And no, this is not just a random name. As research in cognitive neuroscience confirms that overuse of smart devices can damage our brain ability to focus, remember, and reason to a very great extent. Check our phones around 150 times a day, that is one every 6 minutes. And this constant use of smart devices is shrinking our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for judgment, focus, and self-discipline. Think about it. Smart devices. The very tools that were created to empower our mind are now rewiring to grow weaker. But my dear friends, sadly, the damage is not happening just inside our brain, but it is happening around us too. Families sit together if everyone's eyes are blocked on their screen. Friends meet, but conversations are replaced with scrolling. The very definition of quality time has changed drastically from talking, laughing, and spending quality time together sitting silently next to each other, lost in separate difficult worlds. We are connected 24/7, yet studies shows we are more anxious, more isolated, and more depressed than ever before. According to American Psychological Association, excessive screen time is directly linked to higher level of stress, poor sleep quality, and increased symptoms of depression, especially among the teenagers. Also, a 2023 global survey found that over 50% of young adults feel more connected to their phones than the people around them. In our race to stay online every second, we have gone offline in the real world. The place where it matters the most. Since the clock is ticking, I have to start winding down my words. So, in conclusion, I would just like to say that it's not the smart devices that are paralyzing our thinking every day, but it's us. They were never built to replace our thinking. The danger doesn't lie in the device itself, but in how we have allowed it to dominate us. The problem is not the smart devices, but our dependence on them. So the next time you turn to the smart device for an answer, a reminder, or something, pause and ask yourself, is this really necessary, or am I being too lazy to think it for myself? That's all. Thank you.
Really, sir, your delivery left us spellbound.
Virtual reality is a tool just like a mirror, not a substitute. It copies reality, but it can never replace it. With these views, here comes Kerry others.
Imagine a world where you can climb the Mount Everest without leaving your room, where you can dance on the moon, fly like a bird, or talk to someone from across the globe, all in seconds. This is not fiction. This is the promise of virtual reality. A digital universe where anything seems possible. But with such a power at our fingertips, a serious question arises. Can virtual reality truly replace the real world experience with the present or little numbers of the human ladies, gentlemen, and our staff? Have you ever wondered, with your set and some senses, you can build the Eiffel Tower, swim with dolphins, or even walk on Mars? Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But I ask you, can a dream ever replace your life? Can a simulation has the warmth of a mother's glass? The joy of walking barefoot on the grass or the thrill of feeling raindrops in its skin. Virtual reality may mimic reality, but it cannot emulate. Yes, virtual reality can simulate events, but it can never replicate the unpredictability and spontaneity of the real world. A hike to the fall, it is just about a view. It's about the fresh air, the smell of trees, and the surprise of birds like that. These sensations are layered, multi-dimensional, and unique every single time. Then program world, no matter how truly weird that, think about human relations. A video call, a virtual room may let us see faces, but it can't capture the small things, like a comforting pet on it, an eye contact, that's more than or the shared silence. People. Physical presence carries emotion. There's no screen or software anymore. Let us look at the facts. A study by Stanford University's virtual human interaction lab led by Professor Jeremy Bellinson showed that we are increasing by simulating powerful experiences like living with a disability or facing poverty. Impressive, right? But even that study concluded that the emotional and long-term impact of these simulations are far weaker than those experienced in the real world. So, I ask you again, can a world made of code and circuits truly replace one made of emotions, nature, and human connection? I think the answer is quite clear. Virtual reality is a tool, like a mirror, not a substitute. It may copy reality, but it can never ever replace it. To be fair, virtual reality is already doing wonders in certain fields. In medicine, we are even surgeons who practice complex procedures. Pilots train in flight simulators before ever flying a plane. These applications are really revolutionary, but they are the tools to prepare us for reality, not to replace it. As the great philosopher Gary once said, technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master. So let us use it to explore, learn, and grow. Absolutely. But let us never forget, reality is not just what we see, it's what we feel. Because no matter how advanced our technology becomes, the real world, its beauty, pain, and imperfection remains incomparable. And in the end, it's not the pixels we remember, but the people. It's not the pixels we remember, but the people. Not the simulations, but the stories. Virtual reality may offer more, but real life gives us meaning. That's all I think.
Thank you, Adarsh, for refreshing and rejuvenating us with your words.
Stewart Woodruff, CEO of Stark Technology, argues that automation isn't a replacement of humans, but a replacement of mind. We had his comments, here goes Garrett Woodruff.
Stephen Butterfield, CEO of Stack Technology, argued that automation is not a replacement of humans, but a replacement of mind-numbing behavior. Yet, every day, another human hand is replaced by a robotic arm, another mind overshadowed by artificial intelligence. Today, standing in this auditorium, we must confront a harsh reality. Is human labor truly safe in the age of automation, or are we willingly programming ourselves out of a purpose? Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies and gentlemen, and August gathering, a question that defines not only our working lives but our very place in the evolving machine of society. Is human labor at risk in the age of automation? Let us not shy from the truth. Yes, human labor is at risk. But let me take you deeper. It is not just about jobs being replaced. It is about how we as a species adapt to a world being rewritten by algorithms, robots, and artificial intelligence. This year is not new. In the early 19th century, the Luddites smashed textile machines, fearing they would lose their jobs, and they were right to be afraid. The Industrial Revolution displaced thousands, but it also created many new kinds of work. According to a report by Goldman Sachs, as many as 300 million full-time jobs could be automated in the upcoming decades. That's almost the population of the United States, replaced not by humans, but by robots. Basically, jobs that involve routine, manual, or cognitive tasks are most of the labor. In manufacturing, robots have displaced millions a long ago. In the US alone, the number of manufacturing jobs had dropped from 19.5 million in 1979 to just 12.8 million in 2020. In 2024, ChatGPT style AI began assisting in legal researches, medical diagnostics, and even writing code, which once was considered a safe white-collar job. A study by Oxford University estimated that up to 70% of Indian jobs are at high risk of automation. And surprisingly, that was over a decade ago. Today, the prediction inches towards reality. But my honored listeners, let me recall you some of the jobs like AI ethicist, data analyst, robotic technician, and cyber security, which employs over 100 million of people. These jobs are just created because of automation. And according to the World Economic Forum, automation has created over 97 million jobs by 2025. So, the risk is not a job loss, but the risk is a job mismatch, a growing gap between what purpose can do and what the job market demands. In countries like India, Bangladesh, and parts of Africa, where human labor is still abundant, but cheap automation poses grave threat. A 2016 World Bank report warned that up to 85% of jobs in Ethiopia, 77% in China, and 69% in India are at risk of automation. Hence, automation does not only threaten employment, but it also threatens economic development, social stability, and poverty reduction efforts. Despite all this, there is still a realm in which we, the human race, supreme, and that is creativity, empathy, ethics, and complex judgment. No AI can learn, no robot can feel, no algorithm can fully understand human condition. That's why even though Maharaj puts it, that humans are ethical, but not yet peaceful. At last, as we stand at the edge of reflection, let this be our last call to action. Let us once again remind ourselves of the ultimate question. Is human labor at risk in the age of automation? The answer is yes, undeniably so. But it it is not the end of work, as it is the evolution of work. It is rightly said that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. So the answer lies not in resisting automation, but in redefining human value in the age of automation. Let us upscale, let us update, let us shape technology before it shapes us. Thank you and forward.
Thank you, Ruth. With the thought, it was amazing.
The problem is not just the creators of fake news, it's also the consumers. It's us. We have become addicted to outrage of the sensationalism to instant judgment. With these thoughts, here comes Eric Lane.
The tails of lies become the chat. Seems now somewhere a secret, no velas, no truths, no rackets guide, just traps of illusion, the clicks now on. Are the approval fire of deceit or the lamp of truth accept between? A false Gita, a false Quran, keeps it restorated, truth withdrawn. Reason for it, the age declines, a false science, a truth resigns. Mr. President, honorable member of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and the august gathering. We live in an era where information is abundant, but the truth is scarce. A time where headlines scream loud effect, click by transfer credibility. Welcome to the age of fake news, the new sensation that not just spreading across the globe but poisoning it. What is fake news? Fake news is not misinformation, it's manipulation, it's distortion, it's reporting, deception, it's journalism. It created, not inform, but influence, reshape, divide, and those all its works. Fake news spread like a wildfire. Fueled by our emotions, our clicks and checked by our judgment. A single false story. Reputation, somewhere election, even in street violence. And the saddest part, we lack together. Why? Because fake news is exciting, it's dramatic, it gives us villain to hate heroes, towards the narrative that is so dark. It's real, even it's not. The problem is not the kid of fake news, also the consumers. That we become addicted to outrage, to sensationalism, to instant judgment. Good question. We can verify, we share, and doing so, we feel like it's virus. Martin Luther King once said, nothing in all the world is more than sincere ignorance. Policy stupidity. Let that sink in fake news because we lack it. Because not question it. Because not clear it. Because we confuse popularity with truth. So, what we can do? Can we skeptics, nonsense. We can check our sources, think for sure, and we can choose stability over mercy, and we can stop in the peace. Education is our shield, awareness is our sword. Let us teach ourselves and recognize accountable. Let us tell the truth, not the headlines. Because without truth, there is no trust. Without trust, there is no democracy, and without democracy, there is no freedom. Fake news has emerged as a powerful and dangerous sensation faster than truth. Fueled by social media algorithms, sensational headlines, and emotional content. Captures attention and manipulates public opinion with alarming ease. Unlike traditional information is elevating not to deceive, influence to have obtained the point of gain of profit. It's why it undermines trust in journalism, debate social division, and even street violence. In conclusion, fake news is not a threat, it's a threat. A threat of truth, a threat of unity, a threat of humanity. It's a threat that we can fight. So rise, not the blind follower of sensationalism, but the different of it. As I'm thankful, so left to say that. A truth does not mean we question. A lie does not mean we challenge. Challenge every lie, defend every truth. And don't forget, in this war of word, silence is surrender. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. I think you really illuminated the soul of the audience.
Artificial intelligence and machine learning have become widely used technologies in recent times. As revolutionary advancements in 2025, they are not only transforming various industries, but are also being leveraged by attackers to detect patterns and create more automated and sophisticated cyber attacks. With these deep thoughts, here comes Kirit Devaraj.
Imagine waking up one morning to find your bank account empty or your identity stolen. Sounds like a nightmare, isn't it? Yet for millions of people across the globe, this is a harsh reality where every aspect of our life is intertwined with technology. Greeting Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and August gathering. Today, I stand and shed light on an invisible battlefield which does not exist in distant lands, but right here within the screen in which we are gazing. With what ease we are being threatened by cyber criminals. And in this present era, the spot is as clear as a single point on a spotless paper. From being India, we have embarked upon our journey towards becoming cashless India. UPI has become the basic mode of payment nowadays. In our day-to-day life, we hear about many cyber frauds, online scams, online threats, and much more. According to statistical data, a cyber attack occurs in every 39 seconds globally, totaling to about 2,200 cyber attacks per day globally. This recent surge of cyber attacks on government corporations as well as individuals is very alarming. You must have heard about the online arrest. Fraudsters calling in a getup of a police custom officer or a government official, trying to send you a link to verify your ID. Multiple large-scale cybersecurity breaches have been exposed to harm millions of people to harmful consequences across the years, along with corporate security system vulnerabilities. For example, the paper data breach and the Eames data breach of 2024. Cyber criminals are lurking in the shadow, waiting for us to do the slightest of carelessness. They artificial intelligence and machine learning. These are the revolutionary technologies of 2023. These are used by many people nowadays. But sadly, these are also used by cyber criminals to identify patterns and develop a more automated attack. According to the 2024 statutory report of Indian Ministry of Electronics and IT, cyber attack has been increased to 138% between the years 2019 to 2023, rising from 85%. You must have heard about the Ames data breach. It is regarded as the most destructive data breach to have ever happened in the history of India. It affected about 40 million patient records as well as the medical history for several weeks. This cyber attack on Indian government affected India and alerted India about its serious weakness in cyber security readiness. In the recent Pahalgam terror attack, about 1.5 million Indian websites were targeted by just 7 advanced perception threat groups, which were closely linked to geographical regions like Pakistan, Indonesia, Bangladesh, as well as the Middle East. Internet is a great tool towards knowledge and learning, but like every powerful tool, it must be used wisely and securely. Cybersecurity isn't just about protecting data. Cybersecurity is also about safeguarding trust. At last, and time bound. So before leaving this podium, I would like to say that we are moving towards a digital age. Let us not forget to lock our virtual doors and windows. Let us be vigilant and united in our fight against cyber attack. For in the world of ones and zeros, we must emerge as the victorious heroes. We must emerge as the victorious heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Deva. Your words were really full of inspiration.
Data proofs. It's like buying every feature and glory. Now learns to use smartphones even before learning to read. Isn't it strange? But our smartphones are only villain to this story. Or rather, simply adapting to a faster, digital world. With this beyond, here from here.
Once such a love placed in our careful hands, not forgotten between digital lands. Does it create a river mark more than just a face, but a kind of focus lost to eyes? Picture this, a teenager sits up in a cozy corner, fully absorbed in a book. Eyes moving across the pages, imagination soaring high. Now fast forward to today. That same scene is replaced by a hunched figure, fingers endlessly scrolling through a glowing screen. This digital reality, my friends, once books were considered as a gateway to knowledge and adventure. Now bite-sized reels and instant notifications hijack our attention. Data puts it as one in everything. Children globally now use smartphones for even learning to read. Isn't it strange? But Are smartphones the real villain in the story, or are they simply adapt into a fast and digital world? Let me begin with a moment of reflection. Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and august gathering. Think back on a time when you last picked up a book, held its pages, and lost yourself in its world. For many of us, that moment is distant, overshadowed by the glow of a smartphone screen. The numbers paint a crystal clear picture. As a survey by the National Literacy Trust found that only 26% of young people today read books for daily enjoyment. Meanwhile, the average teenager spends over 7 hours a day on just smartphone. Is this merely a coincidence, my friend? I don't think so. Why do you read a 300 pages novel when you can consume a 280 character post in seconds? Why do you solve complex ideas when a meme offers a laugh and in an instant? MIT research shows that smartphone notifications have reduced reading comprehension by 31%. Let's pause and consider. Are smartphones the sole culprits, or are they merely tools reflecting our choices? The decline in reading habit isn't just about technology, it's about the culture shift. Smartphones have made information more accessible than ever. E-books, audiobooks, and online articles are just a tap away. Hey, the studies show that the global average time spent on reading books has dropped from 3.5 hours a week in 2000 to 1.2 hours a week in 2025. The question is, why? It is because the content competing for the attention is designed to be addictive. We have created a world where an average person would spend 9 years of their life on just smartphones, but struggles to spend 9 uninterrupted minutes with a book. These numbers are not just figures, my friend. They are the warning lights flashing on Unity's dashboard. We used to read books in our free times. Now it's mostly screens and others online. Stories still forgotten behind. It is just the phone, but how we have changed our mind. The relationship between smartphones and reading habits is complex. Smartphones are not inherently good or bad. They are just tools. The real issue lies in our habits, our discipline, and the value we place on deep reading in this fast-paced digital world. Some use the smartphones to their classics, while others mindlessly scrolls. The difference, awareness, intention. But if the solution is not to blame smartphone, but to ask ourselves, how can we harness technology to refine reading rather than replace it? The future of reading is not doomed, it's evolving. The question is, will you adapt it mindfully or let convenience dictate your intellectual growth? The decision is yours. Let's choose wisely, let's choose to read, to dream, to grow. Let's light up the world not with the screens, but with the power of imagination that only a book can ignite. Let's make reading our revolution and set the world ablaze with power of words. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruya. Your thoughts on everything the matter.
We live in an era of speed, deadlines, expectations, comparison. Everything around us is racing, but in this race, we often forget the one thing that keeps us going, our mental health. With these distinct thoughts, here comes Cadet Aditya.
He was just 17. Rishabh, a simple boy from a small town, with stars in his eyes and dreams of becoming an engineer. He went not just to study, but to prove himself, to make his parents proud, to carry the weight of everyone's expectations on his tiny shoulders. Days after day, pressure built, his marks strong, his smile faded, his confidence shattered. Try harder, said his teacher. Don't disappoint us, said his father. Look at your cousins, whispered his relatives. But no one, not even once, asked him, are you okay? One silent evening, he committed the unimaginable. He ended his life, not just because he was weak, but because he was hungry. He didn't fail an exam, we failed. Mr. President, esteemed members of jury, ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished captain. Today, I stand in front of you to speak on a topic that is often whispered about, sometimes ignored, but always essential, the importance of mental health and well-being. Let me begin by asking you all a simple question. If you had a broken leg, would you go to a doctor? Of course you would. But if you have been hopeless, anxious, and unable to cope with life, Would you seek help from a mind? Sadly, very seldom. And that's exactly what we as a society do. Mental health is not just about surviving. It's about thinking clearly, manage emotions, build relationships, and face challenges. We live in an art speed. Deadlines, expectations, comparison. Everything around us is racing. But in this race, we often forget the one thing that gives us our mental health. It's not a luxury, it is a necessity. Just like our physical fitness, mental well-being is crucial for our healthy, meaningful life. It affects how we think, how we feel, how we act. In short, mental health shapes our entire existence. Now, let us look at the merits of good mental health. A mentally healthy person experiences inner peace, better decision making, strong relationships, and improved productivity. It enhances focus on studies, creativity in work, kindness in behavior. It brings resilience, the power to rise up falling, the strength to smile after crying. But when the mental health is ignored, its image becomes disturbing. This results in some stats that are very stagnant. According to the National Crime Reports Bureau, NCRB, year 2022 saw 1,70,924 suicides in India, an increase of 4.2% from 2021. And the World Society climbed to 9.2% per lakh people. In the time, as some of my arguments, 6 people around the world would fall into the trap of self-harm. As of early 2025, World Health Organization estimates that around 4 to 5% of adults are living with depression, equating roughly 320 million people. But sadly, we live in a society where physical wounds get symptom, mental trauma get judgment, where parents get more attention than a breakup. This stigma is the biggest barrier, and this needs to end. Friends, mental health is not a weakness. Seeking for help is not shameful. Talking about your feelings is not overreacting. It's a bravery, it's a survival, and finally to those who are silently struggling, let me say them, you are not alone. Now, as I'm bound to the time, I would conclude by these few words. Mental health is not just about surviving, it's about living. Trap of pixels judged by us. I chase perfection where I know. But beneath the filters and silent cries lies a mind of which true struggle lies. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya. We were really mesmerized by your heart-touching thoughts.
The speakers must have spoken on different topics, but the energy and the passion with which they conveyed their thoughts were really heart-touching. They demonstrated to us the true spirit of oratory.
You are right. We are also deeply thankful for the cooperation of the audience in making the event successful. And I request you all to maintain silence while final results are prepared.
While we are waiting for the results to compile, I'd like to call guests now. We didn't get the opportunity to speak on the podium and participate this year, but let's hear it you in the can virtual anything with real world experience.
Imagine a bird where it can climb the mountains without leaving a room, where it can dance on a moon, fly like a bird, or talk to someone from across the world, all inside. It's not fiction, it's the promise of virtual reality, a digital universe where anything seems possible. But with such power at our fingertips, a serious question arises. Can virtual reality truly
truly replace the real world experience must represent honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and the other standard. Have you ever wondered if just a headset and some sensor can visit Africa, swim with dolphins, or even walk on Mars? Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But I ask you, can a dream ever replace your life? Can a simulation match the warmth of mother's touch, the joy of walking barefoot in the grass, or the thrill of feeling raindrops on your skin? Virtual reality may mimic reality, but it cannot embody it. Yes, virtual reality can simulate it, but can never replace the unpredictability and spontaneity of real life. The forest isn't just about the view, it's about the fresh air, smell of trees, and the surprise of birds flying. These sensations are rare, multi-dimensional, unique every single time. So, in a program, no matter how advanced, truly recreate that. Think about human relationship, a virtual room, or video call. May us see faces, but it can't capture the small things like a comforting pat on the back, eye contact. It says more than words, or the shared silence between two people. Physical presence carries emotional weight that no screen software can imitate. Let's look at the fact. A study at Stanford University virtual human interaction lab led by Professor Jeremy Patterson showed that VR could increase empathy, facilitating powerful experiences like being disabled to face equality. Impressive, right? But when that study concluded the emotional depth and long-term impact of these simulations are far bigger than those experienced in the real world. Likewise, another study by Oxford University found that excessive time in virtual environments can lead to emotional disconnection and weaken real-life social bond. So, I ask again, can a world made of codes and circuits truly replace one made of emotion, nature, and human connection? I think the answer is quite clear now. Virtual reality is a tool, like a mirror, not a substitute. It makes us a reality, it can never ever replace it. To be fair, virtual reality is already doing wonders in certain fields. In the medicine, we are working surgeons to practice complex procedure, while training flight simulator before flying a real plane. These applications are revolutionary, but they are the tools to prepare us for reality, not to replace it. As the great philosopher Valery once said, technology is a good servant, but a dangerous master. So let us use it to learn, explore, and grow. Absolutely. But let us never forget reality is not just what we see, but what we feel. Because no matter how advanced our technology becomes, the real world with its beauty, pain, and imperfections remain incomparable. And in the end, it's not the pixels remember, but the people. Not the simulation, but the stories we live in. Virtual reality may offer moment, but real life gives us meaning. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, good sir. We really appreciate your request to speak on this topic.
Now, I would like to call Kenneth Hunt to represent his views on the topic, are smartphones responsible for the decline in reading habits in the youth? He might not be a participant, but G has brought him on the stage. So let's welcome him with a loud round of applause.
Once it held a place in our careful hands, now forgotten, between digital lines. Does it faded or even mark more than just a page, but a kind of focus lost to our age? Picture this, a teenager sits out in a cozy corner, fully absorbed in a book, eyes moving across the pages, imagination soaring high. Now, fast forward to today. That same scene is replaced by a hunched figure, fingers and Leslie scrolling through a glowing screen. Is this the reality, my dear friends? Once books were considered as a gateway to knowledge and adventure. Now bite-sized reels and instant notifications hijack our attention. Studies show that young people today read fewer books than any previous generation. Data proves it, as one in every three children across the globe now learns to use smartphones before even learning to read. Isn't it strange? But are smartphones the only villain in the story, or are we simply adapting to a faster digital world? Let's begin with a moment of reflection. Think back of a time when you last picked up a book, held its pages, and lost yourself in its world.
For many of us, that moment feels distant, overshadowed by a glow of a smartphone screen. Is this merely a coincidence? I don't think so, my friends. Why do we need a 300-page novel when you can consume a 20-character post in seconds? Why do we wrestle with complex ideas when the meme offers a laugh in an instant? MIT research shows that smartphone notification reduces reading comprehension by 21%. But let's pause and consider, are smartphones the sole culprits or are they tools reflecting our choices? The decline in reading habits isn't just about technology. It's about a cultural shift. Smartphones have made information more accessible than ever. E-books, audiobooks, and online articles are just a tap away. Yet, the global average time spent on reading has dropped from 3.5 hours a week in 2000 to 1.2 hours a week in 2025. The question is why? It is because the content competing for the attention is designed to be addictive. A book with its slow, deliberate pace struggles to compete in this very arena. We have created a world one where the average reader will spend 9 years of their life on just smartphone screens, but struggles to compete and to read 900 minutes continuously with a book. These numbers are not just statistics. They are the warning lights flashing on humanity's dashboard. Once we used to read books in our free time, now it's mostly screens and less online. Stories we forgotten, left behind. Is it just the phone or how we have changed our mind? Ladies and gentlemen, the relationship between smartphones and reading habits is complex. They are not inherently good or bad, but they are just tools. The real issue lies in our habits, our values, and our discipline and the value we place on deep reading in this fast-paced digital world. The future of reading is not doomed, it's evolving. The question is, will you adapt it mindfully or let convenience dictate our intellectual growth? The decision is yours. Let's choose wisely. Let's choose to read, to dream, to grow. Let's light up the world not with screens, but with the fire of imagination that only a book can ignite. Together, let's write a chapter, one where the youth reads not because they have to, but because they can't imagine a world without it. Together, let's make reading our revolution and set the world ablaze with the power of words. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. You have provided a deep overview on this topic.
We used to talk, now barely speak. Our minds grow numb, our thoughts grow weak. Reality flows beyond the sea. Yet we live in a virtual sea, yet we live in a virtual sea. Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and our cabinet. Today I stand before you to voice a concern hidden beneath the screens. Let me begin this with a question. When was the last time you used your brain before using Google? My dear friends, I'm quite sure that the moment everyone sitting here on this stage received their declamation topic, most of them turned to ChatGPT or some AI tool, even before giving it a single thought of their own. And honestly, we can't even blame them because we are living in a world where our first instinct isn't to think, but it is to search. We have normalized relying on AI so much that we have stopped using our brains. And that, my dear friends, brings us right back to the question. Are smart devices penalizing our ability to think independently? But before we answer that question, let's take a moment to just understand how deeply smart devices are woven into our daily lives. They are with us from the moment we open our eyes to the moment we close them. They help us to take notes in class, scan documents, share photos, and even check how many steps we have walked.
but convenience and consequence often come hand in hand. Because while we think we are the one using smart devices, the truth is that they are actually starting to use us. They decide what we see, what we watch, what we buy, and even how we feel. Algorithms predict our choices before we have made them. And endless scrolling trains the mind to expect stimulation every few seconds, which affects our attention span. Also, according to a study conducted by the University of California recently, the average human attention span has dropped to just 8 seconds, which is shorter than that of a goldfish. And what has caused this alarming decline? Smart devices. And no, this is not just a random claim, as research in cognitive neuroscience confirms that overuse of smart devices can damage our brain's ability to focus, remember, and reason out to a very great extent. We check our phones around 150 times a day. That's once every 6 minutes. And this constant overuse of smart devices is slowly shrinking our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for focus, judgment, and self-discipline. Think about it. Smart devices, the very tools that were created to empower our minds, are now rewiring them to grow weaker. But my dear friends, sadly, the damage is not just happening inside our head, but it is happening around us too. Families sit together, yet everyone's eyes are locked on the screens. Friends meet, but conversations are replaced with scrolling. The very definition of quality time has changed drastically, from laughing, talking, and spending quality time together to sitting silently next to each other, lost in separate digital worlds. We are connected 24 by 7. Yet studies show that we are more anxious, more isolated, and more distressed than ever before. According to American Psychological Association, excessive screen time is directly linked to higher level of stress, poor sleep quality, and increased symptoms of depression, especially among the teenagers. Also, a 2023 global survey report found that over 50% of young adults feel more connected to the phones than to the people around them. In a race to stay online all the time, we have gone offline of the real world, the place where it matters the most. Since the clock is ticking, I will have to start winding down my words. So, in conclusion, I would just like to say that it's not the smart devices that are paralyzing our ability to think independently, but it's us. They were never built to replace our thinking. The danger doesn't lie in the device itself, but in how we have allowed it to dominate us. The problem isn't the smart devices, but our dependence on them. So the next time you turn to a smart device for answer, shortcut, or reminder, pause and ask yourself, is this really necessary, or am I being too lazy to think it for myself? That's all. Thank you.
Good evening to all. We gathered lots of information about technology today in this auditorium. And the technology of the label virtual reality, even the NCRT is still working on it. whether it should be included in the education, especially for school education or not. Work is on. Our credit has spoke and gave a good account on virtual reality, the fake news, dark side of data collection, and so on. Out of 12 topics, 11 was from the technological domain. I don't know why one credit has selected this is non-technical topic, mental health and well-being. Good topic should be from all domain so that we'll have the 360-degree information. All of them delivered a good record, not only the content, even their preparation and the delivery part was excellent. Now because it's a competition, we have to mark it. Question has to be decided. So the results of inter-house English declamation for the session 2025 and 26, the house-wise positions are 12 positions goes to Nalanda House and 10 positions have been shared by two houses, Vikram and Asoka. Again, 7 positions have been shared by 3 houses. You can just imagine the level of competition among the cadets. 7 positions have been shared by 3 houses, Rajgir, Madar and Kubarni. 6 positions bagged by Armor House. Again, 4 positions have been shared by 2 houses, Nigla and Moya. Any guess for third position? Any house claim to be a third? Second position has been shared by 2 houses, Vaisali and Bhargav. So the Patliputra house secured the first position for inter-house English examination. Now, as you know, by combining the score of English debate and inter-house English declamation, we declare the position of houses, overall position of houses. So the overall position of houses based on the inter-house English debate and inter-house English declamation, the positions are 12 positions goes to Nalanda House, 11 Vikram, Vikla and Nagar shared the 9th position, 8th position goes to Rajvi, Kumarsi secured 7th position, Asoka at 6, Gautam and Arvind shared the 4th position, Vaisali 3rd. Any guess for first position? Anyone? Which one? Warrior? Warrior. Okay, let's give first position to both houses. Patliputra and Warrior share the first position. So we'll have the winner and joint trophy this year. Now I request our principal sir to please come on the stage to distribute the certificates and medals. I request Vice Principal sir and Head Officer sir to please join us. Cadet Avenue, sorry. Cadet Bhaiya. Cadet San. Cadet Devraj Singh. Cadet Sudhanshu. Cadet Aditya Adhikari. Unit 1. Unit others. Unit Vipra. Unit Mahendra. Unit Vinay. Unit Santanu. And Unit Aluminum. And now it's turn of the organizer. Unit Barun. Unit Sunny. Unit Vishal. Unit Rachit. Unit Prince. We have seen two spontaneous speakers who came and delivered a very good speech. So we have not talking of love for their representative. I call it arms and their pushka. It arms and their pushka please come on the stage. Since the our position has been shared by two offices, so I thought house-wise for our topic. So first, I would like to call the house masters of both the wing of Patliputra House, ward boys, house captain, and the participants to please come on the stage to receive our topic for inter-house English debate and declamation combined for the session 25 and 26. Please come forward. Now, I'd like to call the house masters of both the wing of Boria House, ward wise, house captain, and the participant to come on the stage to receive the overall trophy for inter-house English debate and declamation for the season 25 and 26. Thank you, sir. Now, I request our principal sir to please address us. Sir, please.
A very good evening to the audience present here today. Good evening. First of all, I would like to convey my congratulations to the winning houses today. My compliments to all the speakers who spoke so well. My compliments to the organizers, the academic staff who supported them, who guided them. And I thought the selection of topics per se was extremely good, relevant to today's world, and the preparation by the cadets. I have seen them preparing for last almost 10 15 days, and it would not have been possible without the mentorship and provided by the teachers. My compliments once again to the winners, and keep up the good show. Thank you. God bless for whatever.